Two men, two caves, two nights they would never forget. One of them, a world-famous adventurer, vanished deep inside a blue hole in the Bahamas, never to resurface alive. The other, an ordinary software engineer, found himself wedged between two walls of rock, screaming in pain as rescuers fought through the night to save his life. Viewer discretion is advised.
The interesting thing about this story is that it is different from any other cave diving stories. It is about Rob Parker, who was born in Bournemouth in 1962, developed an early interest in adventure sports, and quickly gained fame for his rock climbing of the Dorset coastline cliffs. He developed a keen interest in caverns after moving to Bristol, where the Mendip Hills are nearby. In Britain, he was known for setting a new depth record in 1985 during an incredible pushing dive into the series of flooded tunnels in Somerset's Wookey Hole Caves. His fame also had risen as a result of his love of climbing and his position as a cameraman for adventure movies, while aiding his cave diving mentor, Martin Farr, in a number of explorations. He went to Mexico in 1984, where he collaborated with renowned American cave diver Bill Stone. The following year, Stone traveled to the UK to assist Parker's own expeditions to the limits of the Wookey system as a support diver. In 1992, he founded the Bristol Climbing Center with Julian Walker, a companion. He developed a technically difficult climbing wall within a ruined Bristol church. His unique skill set as a carpenter found the ideal outlet in this work. In 1997, a fellow cave diver, Rob Palmer, was hired to film a German TV show on blue holes in Andros. A few weeks before filming, he went to Egypt for a technical diving conference where a seawall was brought up. He wanted to explore it, but he made a mistake while in the expedition. He dived in instead of swimming to the wall and lost his life there. Later, the TV show chose Rob Parker in the replacement of Rob Palmer. The show was to be filmed in Four Sharks Blue Hole in Bahamas. The Bahamas are renowned for having world-class diving sites, but its blue holes are unsafe for divers or any other marine life. Blue holes are underwater cave systems, and Andros is home to the highest concentration of them. Located in South Andros, Four Shark Cave can be accessed through an entrance that is a coral-rimmed basin about 10 meters deep. This 60-meter chamber is 70 meters long and 20 meters wide. A fissure that extends from 50 to 105 meters deep at the cavern's far end is reached via a little fracture that starts at a depth of 40 meters. Sand and fine white silt make up the bottom in the entrance zone with strong tidal currents. Before moving further in this video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Before filming, Rob was interested in exploring the dangerous restricted side passage in Four Shark Cave. He knew that the filming crew would never allow him to do that, so he thought of doing it before the crew's arrival. Some fellow divers, including Rob's friend Dan, decided to join him. On 17 August 1997, in the morning, their plan was to breathe compressed air until descent of 220 feet. After, they would continue to 250 feet, but they miscalculated the tide and had to turn back, as they had scheduled their dive, or slap tides, in the ocean. The next tide came at 8 p.m., so Rob and Dan decided to make another attempt. This time, they planned to wear their tanks on the sides. They used the guidelines to note their way in and out, and finally accessed the unexplored passage. Before they were out of air, they realized that they need to turn back, as they knew that slab tide can come sooner and trap them with the current. On their way out, they followed the guideline as Dan led the way. At this point, Dan noticed that Rob had stopped kicking his fins and began sinking. He quickly grabbed Rob's left ankle and pulled him, since Rob wasn't moving at all. In a few seconds, Rob woke up and started kicking again. Dan was happy to see him alive, so he let go of him. He looked at his air gauge and noticed that he had very little air left. The current was getting stronger and made it difficult to move. They were struggling as Dan made it through and grabbed one of the spare air tanks they left on the other side. He turned back and realized that Rob was no longer there. He waved his flashlight and told another support diver, Tom. Tom was low on air too, so they couldn't go after Rob, as Dan's new tank had a different type of mixture. They were exhausted as they resurfaced at 2 a.m. and told the filming crew that Rob was dead. There was no coming back. They managed to take his body out after 2 days, and no autopsy was performed. The investigator stated that Rob had been exposed to the nitrogen narcosis and then became wedged in a passage and drowned. As you've made it this far, please let us know in the comments what do you think of this incident. Please leave a like and subscribe. This story is one of the most claustrophobic stories you have ever heard. A cave explorer, Brent Colvin, had been exploring Thunder Canyon Cave. Before moving on to the story, let me tell you some interesting things about this cave. The Thunder Canyon Cave is located in McCain Valley, which is about 70 miles east of San Diego, California. You can only learn how to get there from a caveman who has already been there because you can't find any directions to it. A 2-mile journey on a trail is required after traveling a short distance on a dirt road to reach the cave. A small amount of water is flowing through this cave. Due to this cave's storied reputation, it provides an adrenaline rush, unlike any other cave. The number of small chambers and tight pathways inside this cave makes it quite claustrophobic. You are completely blind if you don't have flashlights with you because it is completely dark. With this cave, you must use ropes to rappel, and there are numerous heavy metal chains to aid in navigating the challenging areas. If you fall into one of the many openings in the cave, you risk becoming stuck or hurt. During the entire exploration, you must pay close attention. The boulders you must pass through inside the cave are incredibly random. Talus Cave is the name of this cavern. The setting resembles a horror movie set. Brent Colvin is a 39-year-old software engineer from Valley Center, California. He attentively organizes his trip to the cave. His demanding profession as a software programmer taught him this quality. Raina, Brent's wife, was his strongest supporter in everything, including cave exploration. He had been exploring caves for about a year before he went to Thunder Canyon Cave. He had been known as an advanced caver. Brent was excited to experience the thrill once more at Thunder Canyon Cave. Brent and 6 other cavers, including Luca Carabini, Heather, Steve, Jim Ness, Ben, and Brian, set out on a trip to this cave on Sunday, May 3, 2010. They hiked through the desert for a couple of hours to get there. They arrived at the site entrance at 11 a.m. and set up their gear. Then they had to descend a rock using a double rope. They eventually cleared their first major obstacle. They set up their next 80-foot rappel. The group continued down, wading through the icy water. 2 other rappels along the way went smoothly. They hit a fissure around 3 p.m. This fissure is only 9 inches wide, and they were quite close. They took their gear off and packed them. Lucas first entered the crack to help his teammate on the other side. Steve pursued after. After Steve, 3 more cavers passed through. Luca went outside the cave to accompany them, thinking Brent and Jim could handle themselves. It was now Brent's turn to go. Brent had never been through this crack, and Luca was not there to assist him. He took off his wetsuit and started to make it through the crack in just his t-shirt. He felt that his hip jammed. He tried to move, but at that point, he felt that he was stuck between 2 cold rocks. His left arm was the only thing supporting his body, and his feet were poking to the other side. Luca returned and heard Brent moaning he couldn't move anywhere. Luca and Jim tried for 2 hours to move him, but they were unsuccessful. They shielded Brent with wetsuits or anything they could find to keep his body warm. Brent's body was getting frozen. Luca went out to call 911, and after 5 hours, the paramedics and some rescuers reached there by trekking. When they finally reached the cracks, they realized that more rescuers were needed. It was really hard to track this cave for the helicopter. After 7 more hours, more help was reached. Brent thought that he couldn't make it, but he kept kicking his feet as he wanted to see his beloved wife again. He was screaming with pain and telling the rescuers to keep going as he felt his check was going to break. They kept giving him electrolyte drinks to keep him warm. Rescuers used a mechanical advantage system to move him and succeeded about 3 inches. They kept pulling and rolling, and after 11 hours of several rescue attempts, including paramedics and firefighters using any machinery they could, they were able to rescue Brent at 3:45 a.m. After Brent, Jim successfully made it through as well. Brent says he is not going to give up exploration, but next time he wouldn't try to get squeezing through a narrow passage as he is going to avoid them.